One of my favorite types of food in the whole world are cheeseburgers. Yes, I said it. In fact, I often boast to my family and friends when they come into town that I make the best cheeseburgers in the whole world. When I make cheeseburgers, what I do is I go down to my grocery store or supermarket, to you guys in the UK and South Africa, and I buy the best ingredients. So I start off with the best buns. I get the most expensive ones actually, and those are called brioche. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Brioche, it's French. So I go for the brioche bread buns. Next thing I go for the ground beef. So it's gotta have a little fat in it. I'd say about 10% fat and 90% regular beef. Next thing I go for are nice juicy tomatoes. Then I get my onions. Now I don't get the regular onions. I love red onions. So I get my red onions and I get Swiss cheese. I also get mustard and ketchup and lettuce. Once I get my ingredients together, I go home, I prep my kitchen. First thing that I do, I take my ground beef and then I spice it up a little bit. A little bit of salt, maybe a pinch of salt. And then I mush it up to make sure all the spices and the salt is evenly distributed in that ground beef. Then I mush it down into a beef patty about this size, the size of a burger, basically. And once I do that, I take out my frying pan and I put it on the stove and I let it heat up. Once my frying pan is heated up, I just take the entire beef patty that I've mushed up with all the spices and all the salt in there, and I just throw it as is into the pan, into the hot searing pan. Now what happens is that 10% of fat will act as the oil for my burger. Then I just fry it about 10 to 15 minutes on each side. And once I do that, take my brioche bun, I take that up, I cut it up, I put a little bit of mayo on there, throw it in the oven, let it warm up, get nice and toasty, and then take it out. First thing that I do is I set a base on my bun. I take the lettuce and I put it as a base. And then I take my red onions that I chopped up into rings and I put it on top of the lettuce. Next thing I do is I take the beef burger that's nice and ready, 15 minutes on each side, and I put it on top of the onions, lettuce, and brioche bun. There's a whole science to this. It's my own method that I came up with. Now before I close up my burger, with the other side of the brioche bun, I put it into the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds to let the cheese melt right on top of the burger. Oh, it comes out so beautiful. And once that's done, I close up my other side of the brioche bun. And it becomes a nice, beautiful, juicy, perfect burger for me to just bite into and enjoy myself. I'm willing to bet if I offer the same exact burger that's perfect to me to all of you guys, there's a really good chance that a good percentage of you will not like that burger, even though I feel like it's perfect. What I'm trying to get at with this is that you have to look at trading strategies like your favorite meal that you make for yourself. Even though the ingredients are going to be similar for everybody, in this case, the cheeseburger is symbolic of a trading strategy. And all the ingredients, the lettuce, the tomatoes, the brioche bun, the ground beef, the onions, these are all symbolic of the Fibonacci extension, the Fibonacci strategy, or structure and resistance. So what's important for you to understand is that no one strategy is going to apply to everybody and is going to be perfect for everybody. We all have different taste buds. We all have different dietary needs. Maybe one of you guys are allergic to wheat. I don't know. Maybe somebody else is allergic to tomatoes. There's some weird people out there that are allergic to all kinds of stuff. So when you learn trading, the first thing you gotta ask yourself is, what kind of burger, in this case, what kind of strategy do I want? What kind of burger do I want? And then you go out to seek different ingredients. Put it all together and make yourself a perfect burger. I've not always been good at figuring out who's full of shit and who really knows what they're talking about. It's been a learning process for me. When I was 16, getting a driver's license was a big deal. So it meant that you could impress your friends at school. You could even brag to the girls that you could drive now. That meant you could actually go out, convince a girl to go out without your mom dropping you off at the mall. Pretty embarrassing. Yes, it happened to me before. So I went over to the DMV. I was super nervous. And I remember standing in line. I was so nervous. And this guy, I guess he could figure out that I was nervous or whatever. So he approached me and he alluded to the fact that he knew somebody on the inside in the DMV who could easily hook me up and get my driver's license in about an hour if I paid him what was equivalent of about $20 at the time. So I stood there and I was a little skeptical, and this guy was really convincing. I mean, he had this nice shiny suit. He came off, let's put it this way, he came off as really confident and very convincing. Before I know it, I stood out of line and I followed the guy. And then we stood somewhere to the side. So I asked him a couple of questions. So, really, are you sure you're going to give me this driver's license in about an hour? Because in Africa, you could actually bribe somebody, and that was actually possible. It's still possible, as a matter of fact. You can bribe somebody to get anything you want. A driver's license, a passport, anything, you name it, you can get that if you have the right amount of money. Anyway, I digress. So I'm standing there with this guy, and he's pitching me. So I give in, pull out my 20, I hand it over to the guy. So the guy's like, okay, cool. Do me a favor, go stand right down there by the bus station. There was a little bus station close by. So he told me to go wait there for about an hour until he was done negotiating with his buddy. So me being the naive little kid that I was, I went over to the bus stop and I sat there. So the guy left. I saw him walking towards the DMV. So I'm sitting there by the bus stop, and I'm sitting there, looking at my watch. 55 minutes, I'm getting excited. Yes, I'm getting my driver's license. I'm gonna impress all the girls. An hour and 10 minutes go by. Uh-oh, I start getting a little worried. Sweaty palms. An hour 15. Okay, maybe he's caught up a little bit. An hour 30, holy shit. But this guy told me to wait here. It's already been an hour and a half. I mean, what the fuck is going on? So I started to panic. 2 hours, holy shit. Now I'm really fucking panicking. Because my mom was calling me up. She's like, how's it going, Mufado? You know, how's the driving test going? So I can't really answer her and give her a straight answer because I feel like I suspect that I've been scammed. So, before I knew it, 2.5 hours, 3 fucking hours. Look, I was at the bus stop for 3 fucking hours. And the guy didn't show up. Next thing I knew, I had this lady, I guess she saw me walk off with this guy, and she was also in line. So she walked down to the bus stop and she's like, are you waiting for somebody, young man? So I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for that guy in the shiny suit. And she just shook her head. She was like, oh man. That's when I knew. That's when I knew I got scammed. Pretty sad. I had to go back home with my tail between my legs, like the chump. No driver's license, $20 short. And I had to go back and lie to my mom. I had to tell her I didn't pass. The reason why I'm sharing this story is because there are a lot of you out there that fall victim to con artists, like the 16-year-old me. Now, I'm not saying I'll never fall victim to a con artist in the future, but I'm saying just know how to read the signs. Know how to read the situation. If it's too good to be true, tell them you don't want it. So one of the hardest things to do as a currency trader is to figure out who's really full of shit and who's genuine and really knows what they're talking about. I think I figured it out. So I read this article in Business Insider that said that the difference between a poser and an expert is that the poser always knows what they're talking about. Posers always come off as if they know everything. They come off, so if you ask them a question, they respond to that question with the utmost certainty and give you facts, give you guarantees about certain things. The experts, on the other hand, are really frustrating to talk to. Let's say you ask them a question about what's the right strategy. They almost always don't give you a straight answer. So they'll tell you something like, well, it's a learning process, or I don't really know everything, or there's still a lot to learn. So in essence, anybody offering signals and alerts with guarantees is full of shit. I figured it out.